and on to our example. Eventually. There we go. Remember, we're using the big paragraph. Reread it now if you can't remember what I've been writing about. Okay, example. When they are living at the graveyard, Connor finds himself thinking, I'm a better person because Risa is in my head. Do remember what the point was. Risa's impulsive decision to run away, la 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 la, has an impact on Connor's destiny. And Connor decides, I'm a better person because Risa is in my head. Okay. Living at the graveyard, context. Yes, the writer, yes, the marker doesn't know what the graveyard is, but that doesn't matter. You might end up mentioning it later on in a different paragraph. So you don't even need to go into it in detail at the moment. It just gives like the sense of where they are and what's going on. Finds himself thinking, this is me embedding, sandwiching, or integrating the quote into my sentence. You want to make it flow. You need to give it a beginning so that, it would be really different if it was like Connor confesses to Lev or writes in his diary. So we need to know like what the process is, what's actually happening when he thinks this or says this. And he's finding himself thinking it. It's almost like he doesn't want to be thinking these thoughts. And that gives a suggestion about what kind of personality Connor actually has. So just those 3 words, finds himself thinking. It shows that it's almost like he's not in control of his thoughts. They just wander where they will. And we know Connor, we know that is what he's like. And he kind of realizes, oh, she quite like this person. And this is an example of making the quote work for you. If we go back here, if we go back here, see the little paragraph. The original quote is actually, I'm a better person because you're in my head. But that doesn't actually sound that good. When you put these square brackets in, what it shows is that you've changed the words, but you haven't changed the meaning of the sentence. If it said, because Lev is in my head, then you would have changed the meaning of the sentence because you're talking about a different person. But the fact that you've put Risa is, it shows that, yep, you've changed a couple of words, but it still means exactly the same thing, and you're doing it so that your sentence flows better and makes more sense. So you're adding to the understanding for your reader. So that's just a little hint. It's not something you have to do. Most of you will never end up doing it in your Year 11 essays, but it's just something to bear in mind. If the quote doesn't quite work, you can do something like that. And that's it. That's how to write your example. Remember that your example has to be a quote when you're writing about your novels. If you go in there and you don't have 3 quotes, one for each paragraph, it's going to show that you have not prepared and the marker is not going to be impressed. You need to have evidence. Remember how I always compare writing an essay to being a lawyer. You've got to have the evidence. A picture of a gun is not the gun. Actual fingerprints on the gun. An actual quote from the novel that proves your point.